Hello and welcome to Painting with Marta. For today's video, we are drawing Christopher Lloyd, and the challenge will be that we are using only sticks of vine charcoal, no pencils at all. These are all the supplies we are going to need. The first thing I do is reducing the image to 5 values to quickly simplify major shapes and eliminate details. Step 1. The first thing I do is cover the paper with the 1-inch charcoal in vertical strokes, followed by horizontal, and softening with a cotton ball. I mark the top of the head and the outside, looking at the photo reference for guiding. At this stage, I am very loose and I am not aiming for accuracy, since I don't have enough information. There are no other marks on the paper to guide me, so I am diving in to quickly establish where the head is going to be. Since we are not using a grid in this method, this is somewhat more advanced. So if you're a beginner, I will strongly advise you to not try to get too precious or correct in your drawing proportions, and instead focusing on developing form by shading to create all the values you see. Start with seeing only 5 values. I use a long-handled brush to measure. I place the ears and shade the darker areas of the face. Darken the mouth and measure to make sure I'm on the ballpark. I place the highest highlight on the hair of the beard to help me establish the value range, and did the same with the other light areas with a kneaded razor. This stage is always the hardest because you're constantly fighting the need to work on details. We must remember that we are laying on the foundation, and this must be strong or the features won't have any good place to lay on. I'm filming the entire video under only the natural light that comes from my north side window, so please excuse the fluctuations of the light. Now that I have more information, I continue refining the features starting from the head. It's very difficult to be exact since the vine charcoal stick is very volatile and can't hold a fine line. We must be kind to ourselves and work with what we have to make it the best we can under the circumstances. I add more darks and start refining the nose and eyebrows since they are the focal point and mile 0. So if this area is weak, the whole drawing will fall apart. I keep going darker and continuously sharpen the vine on my sandpaper to the right as I am trying to refine the features. The kneaded eraser is wonderful because it can be shaped to fit the smallest spaces and reuse it in an almost infinite amount of times. I discard mine only after they become too hard to handle, and I'm almost ashamed to say that I keep them way too long, especially if you consider how inexpensive they are. I refine the ear a little bit, the nose and the bags under the eyes, and finally work out the nerve to draw the main eye. I right away realize it's not placed exactly right, but I decided to leave it and work on the rest of the drawing. Going from one difficult area to an easier one will reset your eyes and act as a break. If we work too long on one area, we start losing information and making mistakes. So the best thing we can do is keep moving into different areas and revisit the complicated ones later. I darken and define the area under the chin and the beard, not the bear. Work on the mouth and nostrils and define the nose more. At this point, I see the drawing taking shape. This is the time that I'm always looking for, the point where I can clearly see my subject and know the drawing will work out. I work on the right eye now. If you know me, I have a hard time getting ready to draw the eyes. The nose is easy for me, and that is why I do it first. But the eyes are another story. I strongly advise you to start always with your stronger point, the feature that comes to you the easiest, and work from there, because everything else will be measured from there. If you make a mistake at this point, everything else will be wrong. I do the same with the shirt. I'm not sure what will I do with it at this point, so I wait till I have more information. It's important to trust the process and let go of the results, because if we think too strongly on how we want the drawing to look like, we will become paralyzed with fear of not measuring up. Let the drawing guide us, let the charcoal guide us, and trust that it will all work out. After all, the fun is in doing the climbing, not reaching the top of the mountain. I get the electrical eraser to lift the main highlight of the nose and bridge. Continue working on the beard, the ear, and the hair. I notice that my face is wider than the one of my subject, and so I adjust. I am working smaller than life size, and this makes it more difficult. I will advise you to work life size whenever possible. Roughly the shape of your palm for the entire face, or slightly smaller if you include the top of the head as well. I no longer have the big studio I was used to, so I'm working with space limitations. I bring the background in, define the contour of the face, and work a little on the shirt color. The diffuser is great to gently lift a shade or two, and I do that next to the ear to define that area. The diffuser, or tortillon, works much differently on pencil charcoals. When working with the pencils, the tortillon blends the shades, but with wine everything will look different. But with vine charcoal, it lifts them, since vine charcoal is just dust and very unstable. I lift some more background using the cotton ball and use the diffuser to define the top of the upper lip in the field drum. I'm approaching final details now, and the last step. It's important to notice that the last 5% of the drawing always takes the longest amount of time. Perfection, or the nearest point to it, is very expensive because it always takes a disproportionate amount of time. This is why great works of art are so expensive. There is virtually no limit to the amount of time we can invest in our art. This is why it helps greatly to have an idea at the beginning of how far we are willing to go, depending on the point we are trying to make and what we are going to get in exchange. I'm working on the lines in the forehead, and I am physically hurting at not being able to reach out for the pencils. The willpower necessary is more than I can relate, but it's only when we challenge ourselves and test our limits that we truly grow and evolve. A word of caution here is that if you want to preserve a drawing made with just vine charcoal, you must exercise great care in making sure nothing touches the paper. You can frame it with separators so the drawing breathes and never touches the glass. I do not recommend using a fixative, since the amount of fixative necessary to fix the drawing will lift the charcoal off the paper and ruin your drawing. I bring out the monocero pencil now to leave the hairs, and this is fun. I like doing this so much that I have to be careful not to overdo it. Now back to the vine charcoal, and now adding the mold. I debated whether the mold was necessary, and I decided it was. Since I cannot blend with tortillas or with my fingers anywhere to achieve the softer tones, I have no choice than to keep adding pigment with the vine very carefully. This is why I think working with just vine charcoal is a great exercise in control. It will teach you to control the pressure of the charcoal in order to get the results you want. I'm going to stop talking a little bit now and let you continue watching as I slowly but surely bring this drawing to an end. If you're still here, I would like to thank you for sticking with me. And please give the video a like and subscribe so I can continue making content like this in the future. I wouldn't do it if it wasn't for you. Thank you so much, and see you in 2 weeks.